Ballers, you do not want to miss this. We have in the house a Las Vegas realtor that's doing amazing things, and you are going to be able to find all your questions answered right here in this episode.
Welcome back to Getting Down to Business. Keosha, what's up?
Hey, I am super excited. You know, I say that every single time
We
I'm
we
in the
just waiting
building.
for it. We just waiting for it. I was gonna jump in and like, I'm so excited. But go ahead, do your
No,
thing.
I'm excited because we have in the building with us none other than Miss Kenya Posey. And
Yes.
I am so excited to have her here on the show because if you all remember, we talked about the importance of purchasing your own home and the things that you needed. And one of the main things that we talked about was having a bomb realtor.
Yes.
So we have on the panel today her here, the greatness that helped us even with our home. Miss Kenya Posey, how are you doing this evening?
Oh man, I'm feeling blessed. You guys have me on today. You guys, well, again, all my clients are my favorite clients. You guys are always the best. Okay.
I
Yes.
believe it too. And you made us really feel that way too. So I know that, that is genuine in your heart that you really do take care of your clients because we felt that every step of the way.
No, no, for real, we did. And I mentioned that in the last show because when I was saying, when we came and checked out our home, during the walkthroughs, because, this was a new build. So when we were doing that, we never thought about checking, how the carpet is laid, paint and all that stuff, the little mistakes. So when you
Mhm.
came and you were just, with the blue tape
With the blue tape, my
all
girl
over the
was coming
place,
in all
I was
over the
like,
place.
man, I'm so happy I got a realtor.
I know. She
you
was like, "What's
know,
going on with this concrete? Why is it
right?
no, no, no? What's going with this crack?" So, yes, we are so excited to have you here. And we just want to learn a little bit more about you, talk to you about one, like, how did you even get started in like real estate?
Oh man, so I have a passion of always helping people, but again, I actually fell into real estate by mistake. I will say, we were actually, and not even by mistake, but by misinformation and
Hmm.
Okay.
educated. We were actually about to sell one of our properties here in Las Vegas, and we are going to build, and we did not want to pay a real estate agent. So
Wow.
we thought if we got our license and educate ourselves, that we would miss that part of the funds without missing out and saving some more money and get our license. So I started studying. My husband started studying at the same time as well. However, I'm the one that finished.
Uh-oh.
Of course.
I did not finish until after we actually got through the process of buying a home. And then during the process, my cousin was like, who's one of my first realtor in North Carolina was my cousin. And she said, why are you stressing about how not to pay an agent? Because as the buyer side, you do not pay an agent. If you get a new build, the builder does not will pay the agent. So yeah. So
Wow.
misinformation, not understanding the process was one of the reasons why I fell and stumbled into real estate. And here
Wow.
I love it.
That was a
Wow.
good mistake.
So I know, right? And I read somewhere that you actually are a registered nurse. Is that correct?
I,
So,
that is correct. So again, my passion for helping other people, and this goes along the field of helping others as being a nurse. I love taking care of others and making sure that everybody is feeling welcomed and have empathy for others and making sure people are just taken care of. And that's why I really take it hard, making sure my clients understand the process and knowing what they're getting involved in.
So
So
when
yes, I am a licensed agent. I'm a licensed realtor as well. I mean,
wow.
registered nurse.
so when you're showing your client, one of those real big houses, and they just grab onto their chest and they fall, you're able to take care of them right on the spot, right?
I've had
CPR.
like we were in a showing and she was, I think, 8 weeks, eight
Oh
weeks
wow.
pregnant. And we were going up steps and she was like, ain't having contractions. I said, you're having a contraction right now. Where's
Wow.
I said, but I'm not delivering any babies today.
Mm.
Let's sit down. But yes, definitely. Hey, CPR, I always stay licensed on my CPR, my stuff. So I can take care of your household. But we don't want those emergencies because I will be 911 immediately.
I know, right? That's amazing. So I want you to just kind of tell us in your own words, because we got an opportunity to really just experience you for ourselves. But can you tell the people just like honestly, like what separates you from other real estate agents? Like what skills do you bring to and for your clients?
Oh man, so if you follow me on my social media at all, you know my hashtag is the agent that cares. Again, I take every transaction is different. I take in account, you know, what other clients have going on, particularly my sellers right now in the market right now. Those who are selling really and truly are in the market where they need to sell. Because a lot of times now you see sellers who don't want to move because of the high interest rates.
Right.
So, and I look at the whole picture. And my numbers sometimes don't always match what other agents look at because, again, I may take a hit to make sure that my clients are taken care of first. It's not about a transaction. It's not about the dollars. Making sure that everybody, you know, walk away is a win-win situation. So that's one of the biggest things as far as, you know, again, I do make sure that I look at the client versus the transaction and money I'm making.
Now, see, that's a huge difference, right? Especially when you're talking about some really large, you know, numbers, right? And so you're saying that, no, I'm going to care more so about the person rather than just a transaction. That's amazing. That sets you apart all by yourself.
And then, so one thing you mentioned was that, you know, how the numbers, you say your numbers may not match other agents, but also you talked about how people don't want to sell right now because of the big interest rates. So, or the large interest rates. Now, my question to you is that, is it always a good time to buy, or should there be a time when you just really step back and wait?
It's always a good time to buy, and that meaning that is when you're ready. Not everybody is ready.
Right.
The interest rates were low. Everybody wasn't buying, and now those people now that are ready now are actually buying now because they're ready. You purchase a home when you're ready, not when the interest rates are going to be dropping, not when you're thinking the market crash is going to crash, because we can never predict anything, but we can predict what you have coming in your household and what's in your budget and what's in your pockets. So the interest rates, again, what people say, you date the interest rate, but you marry the house. So interest rates can always be refinanced once the market gets a little better. But at the same time, you know, there's individuals, I say all the time, people say, well, my friend got the interest rates at 3.1 or 2.2. Well, listen, we're right now talking about you at this moment in time. So we can't that situation because apparently you weren't ready then.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about what makes a person ready? Like, how does one know when they're actually ready? So, like, is it when I have enough money saved? Is it when my credit score is right? Like, what is ready? What does that mean?
And that picture looks a little different for everybody. Like, I have individuals who may call me and they think they're ready, you know, and the main thing is the first step I'm going to do is get you one of my lenders here locally. Or I have some lenders out of state too, depending on what the demographics is for the client. But again, to see what you are really, really ready is going to be putting you in front of that lender to see, number one, what your credit is, what your financial situation is, and all together as far as your debt to income ratio. There are a lot of individuals, I talk about my nurses all the time, who have the income.
Right.
They had a debt to income ratio maybe high, or they also may have low credit scores. But the main thing is we can get you ready. And that's why we're here at the Models Club, prepare you for those individuals with the credit situations. Because we come across those people every single day with credit issues.
So as a realtor, what are you looking for as far as credit? Because I mean, I could tell you that, you know, I was nervous for, you know, buying a home because I felt like, oh, you know, I had some unexpected things jump on my credit. So I didn't know that if I could qualify again. You know, I didn't know if I had to wait until I took care of those items before I jump in. So, like, if you were to give advice to people, say what's the score that they should look for to start to consider that, you know, for them to feel like they're ready to start looking for a home?
I don't think there's any score you need to look at to be ready. The main thing is just getting in front of myself or with a lender. So that way we can actually really and truly see where you are. Because you may be seeing something on one of your credit reports that the lender might not see or may see that you don't see. So the most important thing is getting you in front of that lender to realistically see what your number is. Because number one, you're looking at either Credit Karma or some other FICO score that the lenders don't even look at. So you don't even know your true score.
Right.
And I'm not a lender, so I need to put you in front of that lender to show you what your numbers are and what we can do to get you on track to being ready to purchase. Because again, at the end of the day, there's no really true minimum score. Most lenders want you at least at 620 or above. But you also have VA clients that actually can go as low as 580, and some lenders, depending on the lender, may go even less than that, depending on the client situation. So, again, I try to leave that to the lender. But when you're looking at getting things like down payment assistance, there is certain credit scores you must have to meet those guidelines.
Okay, and that makes sense because when you're talking about people looking at their scores, looking at Credit Karma, I tell my clients this all the time. I'm like, look, what you're looking at are Vantage scores. This is not, lenders don't even look at those scores. So you need to get your FICO scores and really understand where you're at. So I think that's some great advice to tell people, hey, don't try to figure it out yourself. Go to your real estate agent and start there. And they could at least assess where you're at so they could, know what's the next steps.
Yes, I had that conversation at least 2 or 3 times a week with individuals saying, well, I'm going to work on this, or before I get with the lender, I'm going to work on this, or I'm going to wait a little longer because I'm going to build my credit for this number. And I'm like, it's best to get in front of the lender because, again, you don't know what you're building for. There may be things you don't need to touch or work on that the lender may not even need you to work on, like some collections when it comes to medical bills. There's certain medical bills and amounts that the lender, want you to pay attention to get you into your property. So it's very important, like I said again, to have the lender look at your full picture and put you on a plan, because that's what me and the lender is going to do, is put you on a plan to homeownership if you're not ready.
Absolutely. So let's say we got in with the lender, and now can you talk to us about just how important it is to honestly have a good real estate agent? Like, I've gotten the approval. Now what do I do?
That's a great question. I mean, because there's so many agents out here. We all, have our niches and, things we be concentrating on. For me, I do first-time home buyers a lot. I do VA buyers, and I'm really big on new construction homes. But the most important thing is getting with an agent who's going to educate you, have patience with you, and have empathy for your situation, because not every person will go to the closing table. Unfortunately, when we do go on a contract, not everybody's going to get closed. There's things that happen maybe out of the buyer's control, or, maybe something on the lending side. But again, you want to make sure that as an agent, you have somebody who's really going to be there on your side through each step of the process, and knowing that they got your back regardless. So the main thing is just having the time and the convenience for that individuals and the skills to know what's going on. Because again, you need somebody that's going to be right there with you every step of the way.
Yeah, and I know we ran into an issue,
Right.
and we were like going back and forth, and we were trying to get this lender to like respond. Kenya sent one email, and everybody all of a sudden showing up. I'm like, what? So Kenya got the magic touch, obviously, because they wasn't moving when we were asking them. They're like, what's going on?
And I will say, even with new construction, it is totally different from resale. Because with resale, you have that, your private lender that you're going to be working with through your process. New construction, again, unfortunately, you're considered a number to them because they have so many people they talk to on a day-to-day basis. You have those new construction agents who most of the time do not leave their office. It's on site, or they're not even on site at those new construction places. I know from Lennar, most of them work from home. So a lot of them, again, they don't have that one-on-one care. Again, they shoot you as a number, and they're going on to the next person to get the next deal closed. A lot of them, again, we're all working on commission, but their commissions are totally different. They're paid totally different from what we are out here on the resale side. But again, at the end of the day, it's just a totally different process. Those lenders don't have that personal relationship you will have on the resale side. And their communication, I will say, is just not the best at all.
It
and
sucks.
I try to, it does. And unfortunately, I try to warn people at the beginning, saying, listen, if you come across a situation, reach out to me, because a lot of times they will not always respond back timely. And I try to have that relationship with the new build agent to say, hey, what's going on? Can you follow that? So I had that communication with them, so they'll know how to follow up and reach their lenders as well for me. So yeah, it's different. It's totally different. You guys are not alone. It happens every day, all day long.
So now that brings up the question, what are some of the gotchas that you would like to warn people about to get yourself ready for, so that you could avoid that, not closing nightmare? What are some of the big gotchas that, people always mess up on or didn't know about?
I think some of the biggest things is having the right lender a lot of times. And again, things can always happen, but sometimes when I have clients that come and I'm a little weary when they come with their own lender, especially the lenders they find online, it's usually always something going on with that lender situation. And, so you have to make sure we have the right lender who's going to communicate with us. And that's my biggest thing. If you come with your own lender, I don't mind. It's just that we all have to be on the same page, because a bad lender is definitely going to make or break your deal. And then number two is just making sure that, we're under contract during the process and understand what's going on with your finances. Because there's been situations where individuals don't listen. And as buyers, I always try to express, you have to listen to what the lender's asking you. Please, no transactions in and out, even in and out, being deposited out of your accounts. That can be a red flag to underwriters. Purchases. I've had somebody who went and bought a car doing our transaction.
Wow. I can't even believe that. A whole car.
A whole car.
So lost the whole house.
Wow,
because of the car. It's funny because I think Keosha did send some money to her mom, and they were asking questions. What is this about? What are you doing here? And they're like, whoa, wait a minute. This was her birthday. It was no big deal.
I'm like, back up. It's okay. Wow. So can you talk to us a little bit about what is the current climate or market here in Las Vegas? I hear people say this is a buyer's market, this is a seller's market. So what type of market are we currently in? And, is there an up or downside to either one?
Right now, I won't say this is a buyer's market. This is pretty much, we're in a shift. I would say that we're in a shift. And this market looks different for a lot of agents. A lot of the top agents are not used to seeing the numbers they're getting now because their numbers are down due to the interest rates. And again, people are thinking these interest rates are high, but there were times when interest rates were in the 12%, I think as high as 18 and 21% for homes years ago. So we're actually in a average interest rate market. But again, we're just shifting, so people have to get used to what it's looking like. So it's not so much, again, like I said, a buyer's market. It's more still on the seller side. But again, there's sellers who can't afford to even buy once they do sell. Mm-hmm. So that's been a situation with some sellers saying, where do I go when I do sell? So what we're finding is a lot of sellers that are on the market now just need to sell for different reasons, and then maybe some lifestyle changes. But those are the people we're looking for when it comes to listings these days, looking to see who needs to sell. And buyers, again, those buyers who are ready and are not concerned about the interest rate, and they're tired of renting and spending money on renting, then they're going to go ahead and buy them.
Thanks so much for explaining to us if it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. Now, ballers, I hope you are learning something in this conversation right here, and you should be liking, you should be subscribing, and you should be sharing this with your fellow ballers. Thank you so much. It does a wonder for us in the algorithm. You guys already know how it goes. So thank you so much. So Kenya, let me say this. Rio and I, we have talked to many different people in different walks of life, credit, aspirations and all of that good stuff. But then every now and then we come across people who think that home buying is just not the way to go. And so it's kind of hard trying to convince them, is there is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like, what are your thoughts? What are your takes on someone being an actual home buyer? Like, if you came across someone who said, that they didn't really see the value in it, like, what would be your response?
I definitely would say that there is value. This is a real estate has probably the most billionaires based off of just in real estate. One of the things you got to look at too for longevity, it's going to be a legacy, a wealth building process for you and your family. I've had a young couple who purchased their first home 3 years ago because we sold their home last year. They only went a home for I think 2 years, and they bought their home through the NACA program.
Hmm.
And when they sold back in 2022, they walked away with six figures.
Wow.
That's and they said in their mind, this is the most money I've ever had in my hands.
Mhm.
They said I didn't make this much in my job, and here they are walking away from selling their property that they've only been in for like 2 years with six figures. So
Wow.
again, real estate actually can change many lives. Whether you're coming into real estate to be a part of this ups and downs in real estate as being an agent, or again buying into real estate, there is profit here to be made. Again, like I said, you can leave a legacy. It can change your life overnight by just profiting from real estate. Those individuals who choose to rent, again, and there's some individuals who just say, I'm not a homeowner, I'm not, that's something I don't want to do, then that's their choice. But at the same time, don't get upset or try to talk somebody out of making those decisions that's going to better their lives down the road.
Now,
Absolutely.
you just mentioned the NACA program.
The NACA, yes.
What is that? Can you explain?
Yeah, NACA is a home buying process, and usually as a real estate agent, I do work with agents with the program. I'm not certified. I'm certified through them, but I'm not the actual NACA agent. But again, I can talk about NACA because that was how I purchased my first home.
Okay.
I purchased my first home back in 2006, so I can talk about it from a personal experience versus from the real estate side. NACA actually, at that time, back in '06, I was a single mom. I was not in nursing yet. I was still working for the county, and I was trying to figure out how in the world I was going to afford to buy my first home. I had some money saved up, but I felt like I didn't have enough money saved up to be able to, with my closing costs, down payments, your earnest money, your inspections, your appraisal. I didn't have all that saved up. And when I found out about the NACA program again is a program where you don't have any down payment or closing cost expenses. There are fees attached to it. But again, you're coming out of pocket with way less money. And I say NACA is one of the best programs, but it's also can be one of the worst programs. And a lot of people, you got to have patience. And NACA, again, like I said, there's no down payment, there's no closing costs. There's great benefits to it. Their interest rates are usually a little higher, a little lower than the average interest rates. It's usually used to be a 1 point lower. I think now the interest rates are now so high, it may be a little different. But with NACA, like I said, again, you have the ability to buy your rate down. I think as low as 0.45 or 0.50. Don't quote me on that. But you can buy your rate down very, very low. So a lot of people just looking at investment properties, especially in California area, they're buying those 4-unit properties over $1 million and using the NACA program. There's no income guidelines for NACA. It's just that you must have patience and understand that things going to be all over the place for quite some bit sometimes. So
now, do you have to be considered a first-time home buyer? The true definition, as they say, of a first-time home buyer, I believe, is your very first home, or if it's been like 3 years since you've purchased a home. Is that one of the requirements for NACA?
You cannot be a homeowner at the time you're actually purchasing. You don't have to be, it does not necessarily have to be a first-time home buyer. It's just that you cannot have a home currently in your name and be a homeowner.
Got it. So we'll definitely have to drop the link in the description so that people can go to NACA, check it out. And also maybe we just bring you back and we talk about all the different types of just assistance programs that are out there. Maybe we can get your expertise on that. So next time we have to bring you on back so you can drop your knowledge in that particular area. So I'm excited about that. Mario, I'm wondering, because you and I have had some conversations about, once we, get into a particular space, we really want it to be investors in like real
I
estate.
was
So
just about to
Kenya.
talk about that. You took that. I was just about to jump in, but go ahead, say it.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, Kenya, are you working with investors as well? And what is that process different from, someone who's looking to purchase their first home versus someone who is maybe looking for an investment property?
And there's different investors. There's investors who are looking at purchasing a home for Airbnb reasons. There are different investors who are looking at purchasing a home to fix and flip. There are investors who are looking at just distressed properties only, so they can come in and do a subject to property. So depending on the investor, I may be willing to work with. Now, the investor that I get text messages from daily about, hey, you got any properties on the market where I can fix and flip? I don't technically work with those individuals because I'm not out here looking for distressed properties. And again, and those individuals are looking for somebody to come in so they can lowball a seller and swoop them up out of their property. I just I don't have the time for that, for those individuals, because really a lot of times they're serious, but they're not serious of what I want to do. Because again, a lot of sellers, I'm not looking to have somebody put themselves in a bad situation where they just giving their property away.
Yeah.
There's some people who just, they need that because they're trying to get out of the property, but that's not something I'm trying to get tied up under.
And does that also rub, the selling agent the wrong way? Do you like sort of mess up relationships out there when you do that?
Usually those individuals are looking for stuff off market. Those investors are looking for stuff off market. So basically, it means you're going through a community and you're seeing a property that may be a little distressed, or you have access to those foreclosure lists to see what's going on with those individuals. But not necessarily, but if you were actually, like for me on my listings recently, I've had a lot of investors try to do what we call subject twos. And my sellers just can't do that. A subject to means that they're trying to purchase the property subject to them maybe qualifying later on down the road or put it into somebody else's name. The lingo and stuff, again, as my broker, we just don't deal with it. There are some agents who may be more vice in that information, but I'm just not. And also there's some that want to take over seller financing. And again, some sellers just not in situations where they can leave a property in their name and be able to finance that through that buyer. So each situation is different. So I try to stay in my own niche and zone of things with my first time home buyers, my VA clients, my new construction investors. I'm sitting around with, as long as they're looking at Airbnb properties like that, because that's something totally different.
Well, that's what I'm happy you mentioned Airbnb. I was about to ask about that. I hear a lot of chatter that Las Vegas, we don't allow Airbnb. Is that true?
Like in Clark County?
Yeah. So now Henderson passed it first, and then you had North Las Vegas, and now you have Las Vegas on board with it. However, there's so many stipulations. Let me go word out. Stipulations to it, to where a lot of individuals, you have to know the rules, and they didn't have so much the pricing on how much the fees were going to be yet. They hadn't made a decision on that. I'm not sure they made a decision already or not on the permits, because you had to apply for a permit to be legal. And you will see, like, I think they said like 5,000 or 6,000 on Airbnb before it became legal, but they were doing it illegally because they weren't permitted. So now you have to qualify for a permit, and then you can't have the properties more than a certain feet of each other. So you have to know the rules. So definitely, a lot of individuals don't like to do the Airbnb in HOA properties. A lot of them like to do it in non-HOA, so they don't have to worry about the HOA restrictions along with the actual restrictions with the county.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just about to say
HOA. Ooh.
Said if we get one more bill talking about another something to pay, I was like, when is it going to stop?
HOA is different.
Yeah, that's one of those gotchas. So you fall in love with a property, and then you got to know, how much does it cost to live here? Because we're paying the HOA just to live in this community. Then it's a community within a community, and so it just keeps adding up. But we love our home. Yeah.
Beautiful home.
We have a beautiful home. So I wanted to talk about just a little bit, and I want to be mindful of your time because we certainly have thoroughly just enjoyed you and your conversation. But wanted to talk to you about just how important is it to have these particular types of conversations as far as like in communities of color, because we have done episodes in the past and we just talk about all the different things that it just seems like a number of lenders now tend to be thinking about communities of color. Can you talk to us just about, just how this narrative is just starting and why it's so important?
It's important due to the fact, discrimination, the redlining did exist, to where a lot of property owners back in the days where we weren't provided the opportunity to purchase in certain areas, or we were discriminated against moving to those areas. So a lot of times now, even within ourselves, with our own communities, a lot of time individuals try to talk the other individual out of buying, saying, "Oh, you can't afford to buy, or you're not supposed to be buying. You need to stay here and rent." You can always rent here. You rent. You can depend on your rent. Somebody can always come fix your property for yourself. And have to worry about the expenses of a home. So that's the communication we hear in our communities. And right now, we only made up 44% of the actual home ownership.
Wow.
And our numbers are the lowest of all races. So it is very important to talk about home ownership, the power of money, the power of leaving a legacy, the power of financial literacy, because that's what we're actually missing in our community. So going through the real estate market and becoming a homeowner is just one thing to uplift yourself. And, I've had some first generation home buyers in my, clientele, and it was, it was amazing to see, they was just thankful to be able to have the opportunity to become homeowners and know that they were the first in their family.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah,
that's
I
huge.
talk about that all the time with my kids and the importance of buying versus renting. And I'm already training my daughter. I'm trying to put her in a position that the first place she goes into is going to be a purchase instead of a rental. Why not start early if you can?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely say that, because I have a soon to be 27-year-old soon, and we've had those conversations, and he's always wanting to, well, I need my own. But at the same time, there's a lot of communities who don't put their people out at 18 years old. They don't, there's some that actually live a family within a family.
Right.
Make sure they have that ownership there. So I'm not pushing my child out. I want him to be able to, be able to purchase and not rent. But I know he's just so pressed to go out here and throw this money away to rent. I'm hoping he hears me. I hope he's listening to know that, I really want you to become a homeowner, because once you get caught up in that renting, when you don't have to, sometimes you get stuck.
You get stuck. Yeah.
And then you're trying to figure out how to save up money to be able to purchase.
And some of these rental prices, you might as well be paying a mortgage. It's like, this is crazy. And I don't believe that we have rent control in Las Vegas because it just seems like they just continue to just go up with that.
Yeah, that's correct. And then again, everybody's talking about, oh, well, the interest rates are so high. Guess what? That rent is 100% interest rate.
I know, right?
And you're still going to have to be the choice of going up every time you renew that lease.
Yeah.
At least the mortgage, you know what you're going to pay every month.
Exactly.
Taxes may change, but it's not going to go up hundreds and hundreds of dollars like the rent goes up.
Exactly. And now I'm going a little bit off topic, and I just wanted to, I mean, it's on topic, but kind of off topic. Do you know, or like, I hear people using this term gentrification, and what does that mean? How is that different than kind of like redlining or whatever? Is that just certain types or populations of types of people moving into certain locations and kicking other people out? That's how I interpreted that. Am I understanding that correctly?
You're looking at the fact that gentrification is going to be looking at some of the, I would say downtown area, I would say out here especially, where, they're now going in and building it up, making it, beautifying the area. At the same time, they're pushing those individuals who are currently there at home, because now the price value of things are going to look different and where they can't afford that.
Right.
So that's what you find out when you find those individuals, especially in low income housing areas in some larger cities, to where now they're going in and pushing those individuals out, because now they're beautifying the area up, in their minds, they're beautifying the area, making it look more presentable for outsiders coming in. but they're pushing those individuals out where they can't afford to stay now in their own community.
Wow.
Yeah, they did that in Chicago, with downtown Chicago, where we used to have Cabrini Green and all that really bad projects, and they tore down the projects, pushed everybody to the suburbs because people were commuting from the suburbs to the city to go to work, but they were like, we don't want to commute, so they built all these nice, high-rise luxury apartments, things like that, right where there used to be all sorts of gang, drug activity and all that. Now all that is gone. And all of a sudden it's nice and beautiful. Kick all those guys out, push them to the suburbs, and now they got to bus far to get to work and stuff like that, or drive far and commute. So yeah, gentrification is a real thing, and they're doing that in Oakland, California, from the Bay Area where I used to stay. And it's crazy. They're doing it everywhere, in Atlanta, all over the place.
I don't know. It's funny you said Cabrini Greens. What comes to my first thing in my mind when you say that?
I know. Candyman.
Candyman.
I knew it. I knew it. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. That's what we're known for. After Candyman came out, and everybody knew about Cabrini Green.
Yes, that took me back.
Yeah.
So Kenya, what do you have going on in your world? How do we find you on social media? Do you have anything that's going on that the community can be a part of? How do we just connect with you after this particular episode?
You can find me on all social media platforms. My main social media platforms are going to be Facebook, Instagram, playing around now with the TikTok world. Not so consistent, but I'm playing around out there. I'm getting there. I don't know how to use it. I put something out there usually every day, but I have no idea what's going on. I wouldn't say that, but I'm there. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well too, but it's everything at Kenya Posey Realtor. So you can find me on all social media, and especially my YouTube channel. Check me out. I'm always looking for new subscribers on that end as well too, but it's going to be Kenya Posey Realtor. As far as finding me in the community, I'm usually always out and about in the community. I'm trying to visit business owners at least once or twice a week and feature them on my pages as well too. Hopefully upcoming in my area, Highland Ranch area, I'm looking at doing collaboration with another local shade ice truck to do something within the community to make awareness to a nonprofit of one of the community neighbors here that they run for clothing for the homeless. So I try to be out and about in the community versus somewhere stuck behind an office, behind a chair.
That's amazing. Well, we're going to make sure that we have all of your social media handles down in the description. Make sure that you all like and follow Miss Kenya Posey, because she has some amazing things going on. And then you already know that she is the realtor that cares. So you might as well, when it's time, when you're ready, you might as well reach out to someone that is going to take really good care of you. It has been amazing speaking with you today.
Thank you all for having me.
Appreciate it. Definitely. And I know for a fact that we'll be reaching out to you multiple times, because this is not going to be the last time we buy. We're looking for multiple properties. I know, because Vegas, I feel like Vegas is popping, man. We got the baseball team, we got football, hockey. Hockey just won. The Aces won. I feel like we're gonna get a basketball team.
Yeah, he's coming. It's gonna come.
And then we're full-fledged, super city. It's not just gambling. We got a whole thing going on over here.
Yep, and Formula One's coming up. And I think we have it out here contracted, I want to say, for 5 to 10 years. So
that's what I heard.
Yeah, build up down that way. So that's going to be crazy come November. So definitely we are building. So.
And now, Kenya, are you? I know, right? So, Kenya, are you only licensed in the state of Nevada, or do you have licenses in other places as well?
So I am a broker in North Carolina. I'm originally from North Carolina, so a lot of my family and friends are still there. My brokerage in North Carolina is up on a family member who was my first agent as well. She's the first Black female owner with Century 21. That's Erica Rooker of Rooker Real Estate, featured up under Century 21. So I'm licensed with that company in North Carolina. But I can do real estate anywhere across the globe. So don't be caught up in the fact that trying to reach me in North Carolina versus Nevada. I can help you out in every city, in every state, and also in other countries. I
Wow.
have partnered up with other agents on my team to make sure that all clients everywhere are taken care of. So
That's good to know. We might have some business in some other states that we want to take care of. Now we know.
now you know.
No,
Yep.
that's amazing. Well, thank you so much again for your time. Thank you for stopping by the Ballers Club. We appreciate you so very, very much. And Ballers, you already know what to do. Again, if you haven't liked, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. And until next time, you keep balling.